she also noticed within this femur that there was this like yellowing inside the bone. This yellowing only happens within minutes of a bird about to lay an egg.
Exactly. Yep.
This it's called medullary bone, and what it does is actually puts that hard coating of eggshell on them compared to something like reptiles, like crocs, turtles, stuff like that. They have more of a rubbery shell. They don't have those. The only other animal today are birds that actually have that. So we knew for a fact Bob Rex was actually a female. My name is Rex Kowalski. I'm a paleontologist for Paleotechs, well, lab manager for Paleotechs, but I'm also a paleontologist for the Texas Through Time Museum in Hillsboro, Texas. I'm also the CEO and founder of my company called Sturgeon Studios. And yeah.
Nice. When did you know you first wanted to be a paleontologist?
When I was first born.
Yeah. Nice.
So I was born into Jurassic Park. Um, and that was the very first movie I ever watched. And I destroyed the VHS tape.
Yeah, because watching it so many times over. Exactly.
Absolutely. I used
Yeah.
to play as the dinosaurs. I used to jump on all the furniture. It was great.
Nice. Did you go to school for paleontology at all?
So, originally for 7 years, I worked as a Ford technician. So I worked on cars for about 7 years, and I really wanted to get into paleontology, but all I saw was you had to do a bunch of schooling, and so then I found out that there was online courses. It's through chorusera.org, and it's through the University of Alberta, and they have all different courses. So it's not just like when you go to school, especially for paleontology, you have a lot of math, a lot of English, all that stuff. Whereas this is just right on the subject of dinosaurs, like Dino 101 and a bunch of other stuff. And if you pay for the courses, which the most expensive one is like $98, um, so you get a certificate with them. And then I actually saw on Facebook that there was a new ankylosaur found in Texas, the very first ankylosaur ever found in Texas, and it was in Hillsboro. And I was like, man, what's going on here? There's a museum in Hillsboro, so I go and I go check it out, and they had only been there for 2 years at the time, so it was a real new museum. Now I went there and checked it out, and I was able to volunteer, which we do take volunteers all the time. We take them out to the field, and you learn how to prep on fossils and even build skeletons. And so I did that for a little while, and I got offered the job. And I was like, well, I have my safety net because I can get a job anywhere for for automotive.
Hmm.
So I'm still young. Why not chase a dream? So I did, and I'm having a blast doing it. I was able to also pick up on my own company as well. If I would have stayed locked down in the industry I was in, I would not have had time to even start my own company. So
There you
it's
go.
great that I'm able to do both.
Yep. Do you feel it's do you feel like schooling is something that people need to do before becoming a paleontologist, or do you think it's just a plus?
Um, well, so if you were asking me this back in 2012, I would have said no.
Hmm.
Because I hate schooling. I hated schooling.
Hmm.
But as I got older, I realized how much you can learn from it. Um, and the fact that there are courses online that you can take for strictly paleontology, it really helps out. Um, Now, if you're able to volunteer for a museum, not just Texas Through Time, but if you're able to volunteer for other museums and stuff, then that would be really great because you learn hands-on experience and all that stuff. But even if you don't want to do educational courses or whatever, I would at least get some books, read up on what you're working with, and just go from there. I mean,
Yeah.
I've studied Tyrannosaurs since I could walk.
Mm.
So Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot on YouTube as well. I'm amazed with how much information is out there and how many channels are not just about dinosaurs but paleontology in the past in general. There's a lot
Oh
out
yeah.
there.
I learned something new just last night uh, with uh, with hyenodonts.
Oh, nice.
And
Oh, yeah,
yeah, and
nice.
I'm not a mammal guy, but I saw it on there. I was like, I might as well learn something new.
Yeah, the
And my
repro.
wife, oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was like, the reproductive
Oh,
system on those guys is really weird.
oh, it is. And
We
my
won't go.
wife,
Yeah.
my wife's just like, what? Why not only do you do paleontology at work, but when you come home, you're also learning more
Yeah.
paleontology.
Yeah.
When do you get a break from it? And I'm like, no, 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 no. It's not work. I'm interested in learning.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad my fiance at the moment really allows me to nerd out at all times of all day, and she listens to it with me, which is great for me. If it didn't work out that way, I don't know if it was gonna work out. But as a let's see, what's your, like we can just start with this. What's your favorite extinct animal? It doesn't have to be dinosaur, but what is your favorite extinct animal?
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, hints. Yeah, hints the
And then
name.
Utah Raptor. That's another one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've recently you and I spoke about collaborating on a dromaeosaur video. I'll tell you, I've learned a lot about dromaeosaurs. They are fascinating. It is such a big topic. You go
It
into flight,
is.
you go into feathers, you go into you can do a lot of things. I didn't realize how much we really knew about them and how many dromaeosaurs there really are. There's so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah. There's a lot of them. The coolest ones are the big
Yeah,
ones, but
yeah.
there's a lot of different ones. Bambi Raptor is adorable little guy.
Oh, I don't even know about that one. Okay, nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a little guy.
As a paleontologist, what is it exactly that you do?
Um, so I mean, I do lectures. I my very first live lecture that I ever did was on the lineage of Tyrannosaurs. And actually, it just got uploaded today. Um, thanks to you for doing a little editing for me.
Nice.
I
Yeah,
really do appreciate it.
not a problem.
Um, but I also like I prep on fossils. Um, we also build skeletons. I know that um, there's just a lot into paleontology. We go out to the field a lot to whether it's West Texas, North South Dakota, Wyoming, um, Montana, even in New Mexico. I know you can see us on Dino Hunter season two, where myself and Andre Lujan we go out to New Mexico and get that large Columbian mammoth.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about the Texas Through Time Museum for a second. Where is it located?
So it's located in Hillsboro, Texas, 110 North Waco Street. And we might be moving to another building. We're not 100% sure yet, but if we do, it's going to be amazing.
Nice, nice.
um, but this museum is really cool. You go in, you have different tour guides each time. So, and the reason for that is one person might know other things than other people. So, for instance, if I give you a tour, it's you'll know a lot of different things throughout the museum, but then when you get into theropods, tyrannosaurs, you're gonna get an explosion of knowledge hit at you at
Yeah.
once.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Whereas, like, we have another guy that does mammals. He is very strong in mammals. And so every single time you do a tour, it's a different experience each time if you have a different tour guide, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I think that absolutely. That makes sense too, because not one person's going to be able to know everything. There's too much to know in this field.
Yeah.
And we're talking about billions of years, because as I understand it, you guys have a collection of the Permian as well.
Oh, we have a massive
Which,
Permian collection. We got this spot where we go in North Texas where it's just littered with bone. You could duct tape yourself and roll around, and you'll pick up a skeleton. It's
nice.
everywhere.
Yeah, I love it. What days, what hours is it open? The museum.
So it's open from 11 to 4, um, Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay. And how did you get involved with that museum in particular?
Um, well, it was close enough to where I lived. I live over in Waco, Texas, and I, like I said, Facebook heard about it. I went in, I got a tour and everything, and I was like, okay, I gotta try to get in on this. And so yeah, I got one of the best parts was when I got my call um, for coming in um, to get an interview done. One of the best parts is when I'm sitting in the interview, the lab manager at the time sits there and asks me, "So on your resume here, it also says that you played as an extra in Jurassic World." And I was like, "Yes, here's the proof."
Nice. Now we can actually venture off of that a little bit. How was that? What was that like playing as an extra in a major production movie?
It was amazing. Some of the younger people that were working from California, they weren't very nice people, um, but the older people were fine. And I mean, you go into this area. I didn't know it was going to be Main Street. So like that's where the Spinosaurus skeleton is, and the camera actually comes down and it swoops over toward the Samsung Visitor Center.
Mm.
Um, and I walked out and it just looked like I was at Universal Studios. um, it was amazing, and the one of the best parts was um, like I could see myself in one of the scenes for sure. I made it known that you could see me, but then um, there was the running scene. And this
Hmm.
running scene, I didn't know what we were running from until one person said they're pteranodons. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Um, I wish that one of them would have landed on me and ate me, but no, can't have that.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had everything rigged up with cables and stuff, and they had these places where the cameras weren't actually seeing, but it was marked off so people would stay away from it,
Hmm.
and things would just be thrown over to the sides right across from you as you're running. There's people falling off of buildings and stuff. I mean, it's an
Hmm.
amazing experience, and I got to meet Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, Colin Trevorrow, and even Jimmy Buffett, who made a small little cameo, which
There you
is
go.
fantastic.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So let's go back to the museum a little bit. How does a museum get funding? How does it? Because it can't be cheap to run a museum. How do you guys make most of your money?
Well, the museum itself is a nonprofit. So everybody that technically works there is actually volunteering their time. Um, One of the main things is like, for instance, I told you I was a lab manager for Paleotex.
Hmm.
Paleotex is a commercial paleontology group. We do sell some fossils that are not as extravagant or whatever that could be donated to the museum. But we also do like if somebody, for instance, we had one guy uh, where he wanted a Triceratops skull in his room or in his office. So we go out there and we think, okay, we just got to take out part of the wall or something like that. No, 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 no. His office is on the second story.
Oh no.
So we had to use a crane, all kinds of stuff, take out the porch. There was a lot of stuff that had to be done to get it in there.
Yeah,
Um, but Paleotex rents the lab space from the museum, so that's one of the ways that the museum is able to get some type of revenue coming in. We do take donations as well as we do have a gift shop, and the gift shop has been doing very well, which is fantastic.
that is
So
good.
it's able to help us do new exhibits and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Do you guys collect your own fossils, or is it a combination of buying and collecting?
So well, for the museum portion, there was a massive amount that was actually donated from the director, but he actually collected most of that himself. Um, for the most part, about 99.9% of it is us going out to the field, doing field work, bringing it back. And if it's significant enough and we don't have multiples of the same thing, then we'd sell it or put it into the museum. Just really depends on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, what type of fossils are in the exhibit? Now, this could be a broad question. I guess try your best to summarize around it.
Okay. Well, I can start the Paleozoic.
There we go. Yeah.
uh, so we have trilobites, we have a sea scorpion, and then we got our Permian stuff where you got Dimetrodon, Ariops, Samoria, Archeloma. Then we got Triassic. We got a lot of footprints. So like Coelophysis, one of your first dinosaurs, and then even our phytosaurs, which are really cool animals. We actually dug one of those up not too long ago, and it's a 14-foot skeleton that I still got to work on.
Nice.
But um, and then you got your Jurassic, so you got like Allosaurus, Tarbosaurus, even a Stegosaurus, Thagomizer, and then you got early Cretaceous Acrocanthosaurus skull, and then that's where I kind of talk into tyrannosaurs, tell the difference between something that's Acrocanthosaurus or a Carcharodontosaurid
Mm-hmm.
Allosaur, um, and then our actual tyrannosaurs. And then you go into our brand new species of ankylosaur. This is the first species ever found in Texas. We have four individuals, enough skull material for four individuals, over 250 bones, and they're still not all prepped yet.
Yeah.
And then we also have we go into our we have a Tychotis shark, which is really cool because the cartilage actually fossilized, which is very very rare. It came out of Uvalde, Texas, so that's like southwest of Texas or
Okay.
southwest Texas, like
Yeah.
pretty much on the border. And then you go into like your mammals. So we have a Nimravid, which is like a cat mimic. Looks like a saber-toothed cat, but it's actually a completely different species. All that comes down to the fusion of the ear bones.
Nice.
So
Nice.
we got some rhino material, North American rhino material, camel. Um, it's just a little baby camel that we have on display. It's really cool.
That is pretty cool.
And then we get into our Pleistocene, so like your mammoth and your bison, which we still have today, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. That camels used to be in North America. North America's, the set of animals looked a lot more like Africa at one point, where we had elephants, lions, and camels and other things. It's
Oh
really
yeah, it's
cool.
crazy. It's crazy how it used to look. And what's really cool too is the way that the camels are. You can actually tell if you put each different species of camel that's North American, you can actually see how they transition from living in like forested green areas to
Mm-hmm.
more of a drier climate, and they started to build that hump that stored water. It's
Exactly.
really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It is weird to think about camels without, the hump itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't always have the hump.
Yeah.
So on the website, I remember hearing the term hands-on fossils. This is actually a little unique. I don't think I've been to many museums because every time you see a fossil, it's like, do not touch. You don't even like, you can barely even get near it where you can just like point at a distance if you're trying to teach anything.
Yeah.
So I guess let's go into the hands-on fossils at all. So I guess you guys let people touch certain fossils?
Certain fossils, yeah. We also have like for the kids, we have it's just a box of fossils where they get to take one home as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is really cool. Sometimes you get mosasaur vertebrae in there.
Yeah.
They got some teeth. Of course, ammonites. We get a lot of
Yeah.
those in Central Texas.
Yeah. 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 I'm sure they appreciate that. And who knows?
Oh yeah, they love
They
it.
might actually have that for a long time.
Yeah.
uh, let's see. What's your favorite fossil in the museum right now?
We have a which is in collections right now. There is a ilium to a Teratophonius that we found in West Texas, and this ilium. So we have the skeleton of Teratophonius, and they say that it's an adult Teratophonius. Teratophonius, for anybody that doesn't know, is a species of Tyrannosaur, an earlier cousin, closer related to like Albertosaurus, but had a short
Hmm.
face, so it's like the pug of the Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, with a short
but
faced bear. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And this this skeleton was actually featured in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom at the Lockwood Manor. So it was used in there, and then we had it for a little while at the museum, which was really cool. But I took that ilium and put it up next to the ilium on the Teratophonius and or top part of the pelvis,
Hmm.
and the one that we have in West Texas is so much bigger.
Nice.
So means that the Teratophonius skeleton that we had that they said it was an adult would more than likely actually be a subadult.
Yeah, yeah, or at least a little guy probably didn't eat enough or something.
Yeah.
Let's go to working in the field. How often do you guys or you personally go out looking for fossils throughout the
So
year?
we normally go about 3 times a year, and that's kind of pushing it because we all have lives besides that.
Hmm.
So it's hard to get out. We do most of our stuff actually in the wintertime, where most people do it in the summertime. But because we're doing stuff down south, we don't have that problem of ice and snow and all that.
Yeah,
Um, Sometimes, but not all the time.
yeah, yeah.
um,
It does
but
freeze.
yeah, it does freeze. It does get cold for sure. Um, but yeah, we normally do. Um, so we'll do like our Cretaceous, West Texas. We'll do North Texas, and sometimes when we do North Texas, we do it for like it might be just a day trip. Um, and we take multiple times going out there. So like we might do it on like a Saturday or something like that, or even a Monday, and we'll just go out and collect stuff, bring it back. There's other times we're there for like 12 days, 12, sometimes 18 days. And then we either do New Mexico, Montana, or Wyoming as a third one.
Yeah. Do you typically get so you talked about volunteers. Do you typically have volunteers with you, or is this normally just you and the guys?
Um, we normally have volunteers with us, and we've had actually lately we've had a massive explosion of volunteers
That's
coming
good.
to the museum, and it's fantastic. We have a an engineer. I think he's in like his 60s or so. And he comes out and he actually underneath when we were pulling that mammoth tusk out, that 30 to 40 year old mammoth tusk, there was something underneath. We noticed it was skull material. So we wrapped that up too and pulled that out. And we actually had him work on it. Um, and we have a foreign exchange student from Pakistan who was working on it as well.
Nice.
And it's a skull, it's the bottom part of the skull. So it's got the two teeth, the two top teeth, it's got the palate, um, and it's even got the attachment for the spinal column. It's really cool. Um, but and then we actually have a new guy that just started, and he's dead set on becoming a paleontologist, and I really actually look forward to this guy
That's good.
um,
Yeah, I believe
taking
in
off.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's those type of people they're gonna make it. If because I say make it as if many people don't, but there are people that fall off in any type of industry, and I'll tell you, the people who have the passion for it are the ones that truly don't just make it; they'll do well. Which is good.
Yeah.
So what kind of equipment do you guys have? I remember hearing about a Bobcat, a little front loader. Do you have an RV? Do you bring a big like convoy of trailers and equipment, or do you try to rent things out when you need be?
So that really depends on where we're going. Um, so like if we're going to West Texas, I'll actually bring my own trailer. I have my own camper that I take out there. If we're doing something that's in North Texas, I'll bring my truck, and the entire bed of my truck has been built into like a camper style because it's got a camper shell, so it's got a bed that folds out, sink, and all that stuff.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, and then like if we're doing somewhere out of state, not New Mexico. New Mexico, we have the Abercrombies. We kind of stay on their property, but anywhere else, we normally use tents. Equipment wise, we do use a Bobcat, and that thing is amazing. And then we use like side by side, like a little Polaris Ranger to get around. We use a Bosch, which is like one step below a jackhammer, and it's the most amazing thing. I use it all the time.
Nice.
We have generators which they go down constantly because of the climate that it's being in, especially in like in New Mexico, which they did not film.
Mm-hmm.
They had a camera right in my face, but they didn't even put it on there. But I fixed a generator with a hammer and a chisel.
Yeah. That's a true mechanic right there.
Yeah, when you don't have the tools, you'll make the tools.
All right, let's go into your lecture a little bit. So you just recently, we actually both did, but let's talk about yours a second. We recently did a live lecture on the Tyrannosaurus. How many lectures have you hosted in the past before this one?
I mean, I've done a couple smaller ones. There was no filming involved or anything like that. It was mainly just teaching kids, or teaching people at the museum. But a full on lecture, live, all that stuff. This was actually the very first one, and it was at Southwest Adventist University. They have a great collection, but they did request that I did not say certain things like millions of years and all that other stuff. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times where I'm choking up on there because I want to say it, and then I lose track, and I'm just like, all right, where were we? So I do apologize for that, but I mean, it's still a good lecture, and you learn a lot.
Yeah. I'm gonna experience the exact same problem whenever I go there. Hopefully at the end of March. Like because I ramble off. A lot of my lecture style is really I just read something and then I'll just ramble on what I'm reading, and what I know about that topic. So I'm probably gonna slip. I say slip up. I'm gonna do my best not to, but I'm probably gonna at least cross through my mind and realize I have to correct it before I say it out loud. So I
Well,
get that.
when you do it, and we get a date and all that stuff, I'll be there in the auditorium
Nice, nice.
trying to cheer you on or whatever.
Yeah, nice.
He's lying. That's not what they did. They didn't eat plants. They're carnivores.
It'll be by the Triceratops, is why he's saying that.
Yeah.
Let's say, how much did you, let's say, did you really enjoy the lecture?
You know what? I did. I really enjoyed the lecture. Um, there wasn't too many questions though. I was hoping there would be more. There were certain things I left out on purpose so people would ask, like, did Tyrannosaurus Rex have feathers? All this other
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Um, and then I sat back and I actually watched the video afterwards, and I was like, man, I should have just brought it up because nobody asked the questions.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there was people online that were asking questions, and the tech guys, I guess they didn't know how to ask the questions
Mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm.
me. So I did mention that to them. So our future lectures, which we have one coming up, actually it's this Friday. Yeah, I think it's
Nice.
this Friday. There's a lecture, and it's going to be on Texas fossils,
Okay.
by Doug Shore.
So how are you broadcasting that live? Are you doing it over Facebook?
Yeah, so they'll use their SWOW, Southwest Adventist University, and they'll have it live. So if anybody can't be there in person, you could check them out. Also, Surgeon Studios did also share it, so you can check out that Facebook page as
Yep.
well for it.
You'll
And it'll
find
be
a link.
dates.
You'll find a link to his and my Facebook in the description of this video, and both of us will probably be advertising for that if we're interested in joining.
Absolutely. I
Um.
will unfortunately be in Tucson, but it's
Oh, okay.
fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Well, I'm in
I'll
North
try
Dakota.
to though.
Yeah. I'm at least gonna advertise for it. Uh, let's see. You know what? Let's go a little bit on that feathered Tyrannosaurus thing. So I've been thinking so much about the feathered Tyrannosaurus because, okay, so for the people that don't know, I'm sure everybody listening to this does know, but we found feathered Tyrannosaurus in the smaller, earlier species. But so like the Dilong, Guanlong, if I remember correctly, both of those,
Yeah.
and then the Eutyrannus is a later, bigger Tyrannosaurus with feathers.
Mhm.
But where they lived was, I think they did isotope testing on their environment, like with the water the water soaked rocks in the environment they lived in. They think they actually lived in about they think they lived in about 7 to 10,000 feet altitude type thing. And during Pangea, there was in the one landmass, it creates really drastic weather changes and seasons. So we think that they actually lived in a very cold climate. Whereas the big body Tyrannosaurus would be in a very hot climate, very tropical type climate.
Hmm.
So it's my theory that the Tyrannosaurus, the big guys, did not have feathers because if we look, let's say elephants, right? Elephants, if they were extinct right now, we would guess that all elephants had fur because we keep finding frozen elephants with a lot of fur on them. And so it would be this big argument whether elephants had fur or not if we didn't have any elephants today to go off of.
Yeah.
But it is possible things lost feathers along the way. But I do like to think that Tyrannosaurus did at least have a little bit of feathers left over, maybe on the spine or something.
They probably did. I know that our smaller ones, the ones that we have found, they do have it's proto feathers.
Hmm.
So it's the fluff like what baby chicks have.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, which is just a very advanced form of a scale. So if you think about it, birds are actually reptiles too.
Yeah.
So, but as for like quills, like quill feathers, I know we have a Struthiomimus that has that. We've indicated those on the arms. Dromaeosaurs are pretty well known as well to have some type of quill feathering as well. But for the Tyrannosaurs, we don't really see that, at least not yet. Um, if we were to find like a T-Rex, either mummified or any kind of impression, which the reason why like you Tyrannus and all them would have been able to show the feathering was because the area that they were in, they had what was uh, the amount of a ton of volcanic activity. And so the ash was covering it up really quickly, and so it wasn't able to break down. So that's why we have the feathers there. Um, but if we were to find something that like Tyrannosaurus Rex having feathers, like for sure, 100% it had feathers. And not only did it have just the smaller feathering, but more quill like as well, like on the arms and stuff, it would make sense because the the quill like feathers actually help regulate body temperature in birds
Yep.
because it actually has blood flow through it. So it
Exactly.
kind of makes sense if they would have, even if they're in a hotter climate. But there's no other tyrannosaurs that at least I've seen that have the quill-like feathers. So
Hmm.
the more basal feathers, primitive feathers, were more of like an insulation.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, yep, yep.
So yeah, like you said with the elephants, I know I kind of rambled on there, but
Oh
more
no, it's
like the
good. Yeah.
like elephants, they don't have that.
Yeah.
So because of their hot climate.
Yep. Let's go on correcting. So the reason I'm going to go into this section is since we both did a lecture on the Tyrannosaurus, I learned a lot, and I listened to yours after mine, after I did mine and even edited and everything. So in mine, I had a question of was there any sexual dimorphism? Sorry, was there any evidence of sexual dimorphism in the Tyrannosaurus? And my answer was no. We have no idea if there were. We've never found a male or female. Could you try to go into a little bit of the evidence of at least Bob?
So Bob Rex is a really cool animal. That was the very first. Okay, so Mary Schweitzer, she actually took a section of bone. It was from the femur of a Tyrannosaurus B Rex or Bob Rex, after the guy that actually found it, and she put it in some acid. And I know I said within minutes, it was literally within seconds because of how strong that acid was. It broke it down, and when it broke it down, it actually there was some kind of like weird flexible tissue there, and it was actually tissue that actually had red blood cells in it. Unfortunately, it's all destroyed blood cells. We
Yeah,
cannot clone them yet. I wish we could, but she also noticed within this femur that there was this like yellowing inside the bone. This yellowing only happens within minutes of a bird about to lay an egg.
exactly. Yep.
This it's called medullary bone, and what it does is actually puts that hard coating of eggshell on them, compared to something like reptiles like crocs, turtles, stuff like that that have more of a rubbery shell. They don't have those. The only other animal today are birds that actually have that. So we knew for a fact Bob Rex was actually a female.
Yeah, so if we imagine the most common egg that we think of, the chicken egg, it's got a very, very hard shell that you have to crack open.
Yeah,
Yep, yep.
which I just had eggs this morning. It was
Yeah,
great.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about the T-Rex brain a little bit because I didn't cover that at all. So how do we know anything about the T-Rex brain? Because obviously we didn't find the T-Rex brain.
Right. So Tyrannosaurus Rex, we do this with a lot of different animals too. And Tyrannosaurus Rex, what we normally did was put it through CAT scan. You don't want to crack it open because then all the mud and dirt and stuff that actually seeped into the bone gave you the actual shape of the brain itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it replaced it. We actually have which is really cool. I saw an Oreodont one time, so that's like a pig-faced deer from the Oligocene, and part of the skull was removed, and the impression of the brain was still there. It was just filled in with rock and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mud, and then it hardened into rock. But so going through this, we actually figured out that the animal was actually a very intelligent animal, especially for a theropod. Um, Now, looking at the neurons, so that's like the activity of the brain. It, it would have been more like your birds. Now, birds, they're not dumb animals, but we look at a brain and we're like, well, that brain is small compared to like this mammal brain here. No, that the only reason why it's smaller is because the neurons, the sensory, and all that stuff is set up different. So you can't say that something is dumb just because it has a small brain. I bet you Stegosaurus is a pretty smart guy, and he was like a walnut,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And even bird, like, people say bird brain, like birds' brains actually have a lot more rapid, like, I don't want to say something wrong, sorry, but their neurons fire much more quickly and much more efficiently than
Oh
ours.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, if a bird had the same size brain as us, they would be far, far, far more, at least potentially intelligent than we are, for sure.
Yeah, they would be going back to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. So technically, bird brain is a compliment.
Yeah.
So it's something I actually didn't cover because I don't know what it was that I didn't add it, but so the Tyrannosaurus had a bone on the roof of their mouth as well. Why would that be significant? One, it'd be strength, so you could rip side to side like a dog rips a toy, because I think the Carcharodontosaurus, the Allosaurus, didn't have that bone, if I'm correct. But so it'd be a lot
Uh,
weaker.
yeah. Well, not only that, the skull build of like a Crocodontosaurus is weaker in general, just because and orbital fenestras are a lot larger. They were used to regulate body heat a lot faster. And when we find these animals like Crocodontosaurids, they're in very hot climates.
Hmm.
So, like South America, Giganotosaurus, Crocodontosaurus, Africa, and even Acrocanthosaurus. Um, and at that time period of the uh, early Cretaceous, it was very, very hot. Um, Whereas something like Tyrannosaurus Rex, that was built. I mean, yeah, it still had anorbital fenestra and all that stuff, but the palate was actually used for strength. The muscles were just ridiculous on this thing. There was no other land predator on the planet that had a bite force like Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, like crazy.
Yeah, if that was still around, we would not be here.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think it's about twice, like estimated, obviously, because we never, found a Tyrannosaurus living. But I think they're about twice as powerful as the saltwater crocodile, or 7 times more powerful than the hyena, the hyenodont, which
Yeah,
is nothing to sneeze at. Like that is some serious bite force we're talking about.
yeah, you're looking at around 8,000 pounds of
Yeah,
bite force.
yeah,
Its mouth could literally crush a small car. So that scene in the Lost World where it rips the top off, yeah, that would have happened.
yeah. It could very well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And the teeth were definitely strong enough for it. That's for damn sure
Oh
too.
yeah,
How often would T Rex replace teeth if they got
every three
lost?
months their entire life.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I wish that I had that. I wouldn't need a
yeah,
dentist.
yeah,
Nothing.
exactly. I even have gaps in my smile, man. I wish I had the same thing. Let's go on to a little bit more about you. So let's talk about the Sturdrum Studios.
Okay. Well, we do a lot of different things in Stardrum Studios. I look at it as like Universal Studios. So Universal Studios, it's not just Jurassic Park or paleontology or anything like that. It's a amalgamation of all kinds of stuff that other people that are in my company do. So we have, for instance, Ashton Willingham. He does um, firefighting, wildland firefighting, and he records videos, and he's trying to get them uploaded, but it's taking a little while. He's been busy.
Hmm.
um, and then my wife, she wants to do gaming videos. And we just got a gaming computer. We're just waiting on some more of the equipment to be able to do that, which I know it doesn't cost much for stuff that works. I mean, uh,
No, but
but
yeah, for sure.
yeah. And then finding the time because we have a 1 year old, and so that's kind of hard too.
Yeah.
And I'm always out doing stuff. So, but the other thing that we do like animatronics for like I have a full size Jurassic Park Velociraptor. Um, you got a phone call?
And with an alarm. Sorry.
uh, I have a full size Jurassic Park Velociraptor that I've been working on. You can actually check it out on our Instagram page and stuff like that. I've still been working on it, but I kind of stepped away from that because I had an idea of a different product that Surgeon Studios could actually push out. And they're collector's pieces. I can't really say much about them. They're three different individuals, but they should be. There will be an announcement video that'll be on the Surgeon Studios YouTube channel as well as Facebook page whenever they are ready, 100% ready. But they're really cool, and all I did is I just sat down with a notebook and just drew it up. And something that goes from that into a full size handheld prototype is amazing. So that's the first time I've ever um, did that. We also do so we do sell real fossils as well, but we're doing more of replicas. So
Hmm.
I have my own personal collection of like Tyrannosaur teeth and stuff like that. Unfortunately, like Mongolian specimens, I can't have because it's illegal to have. But I do have
Yeah.
replicas of them, or I've actually sculpted like the Velociraptor killing claw. So
Hmm.
I sculpted that off of some pictures, and then was able to start selling those because it's my own creation of it. Um, and then we do like 3D printing skulls, which I hand paint, hand texture, all that stuff, and even some skeletons. I do have a baby T Rex skeleton that I finished, and I decided to donate it to my own company so my company can actually have some kind of money
Hmm. Hmm.
to be able to take off. So yeah, I mean, s- that's a lot of the stuff that we do.
Yeah. So do you have a website for that?
Yeah, that's sturgeonstudios.com. And yeah, you could check out our store. We have most, if not all of them on there. We're actually going to be transitioning to a different provider for the website. It'll still be the same name. So if you try to get on there and it's not allowing you to, that's probably because we're transitioning. But as of right now, it's still available.
Okay.
And then we
And
have Facebook and Instagram, YouTube.
exactly, that's all the same name, the Sturgeon.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. But yeah, so it looks like I actually have run out of time. I really appreciate you coming on with this with me, and
Yeah.
there's much more we could talk about. So maybe we could do this again sometime when we got a little bit more to talk about. I would love to hear more about that Ankylosaurus when you're able to talk about it.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, for sure. I would love to have not exclusive, but I would love to have a definite, almost like as immediate as we could whenever we're
Yeah.
actually able to speak about it. I love Ankylosaurus. It's one of my favorite types of dinosaurs.
Well, it is a close relative to Ankylosaurus, very close, but there are certain features that makes it a incredible animal on what it eats, and we might have a name, but I can't tell you
Yeah,
yet.
exactly. Yep, yep. So you actually have the tail and the head?
Oh yeah, we got the club tail. We got parts of the skull. We were actually able to. We sent it to Denver Museum because we do a lot of deals with them, and they're helping to write a paper on it.
Nice.
And they actually built the juvenile skull. We have a juvenile. So, and
That's
then we have a
really
couple of
cool.
adults too.
Yeah, yeah. That's not just one little. It's not just one thing. I think that's even better. I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I like I said earlier, I'll put all of these the ways of reaching you on Facebook. I'll put a lot of these in the description, and that way they can find you, whoever is interested. And yeah, looks like that covered it. Thank you, Rex.
awesome.
I had a
Yeah,
great
thank
time.
you.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll see each other in gaming for sure. So that'll probably
Oh,
be
absolutely.
the good news. I love that your YouTube and your channel is very broad because literally I named mine Hobart's Obsessions, so it's whatever I'm obsessed with. I'm not stuck with just dinosaurs. I'm not stuck with just doing interviews. It's whatever I want to do. So
Yeah, exactly.
I think
That's
it
what makes it fun. You don't have to make multiple YouTube channels.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna be. So if anybody's looking forward to gaming, we'll definitely be doing that. I actually just started playing Ark again, which is like a dinosaur type game, and I'm probably gonna try to use that in some some way to like do like scientific accuracy of the dinosaurs in Ark. But I have
Yeah,
to tame all of them first and all that. But
right. And another good one is The Isle. I love that
yeah,
game.
we spoke about that last time we spoke. I really need to get that. Now I've actually seen I didn't know it, but I've been seeing memes about it and everything on the dinosaur groups. I had no idea what I was even looking at. Now I'm getting it.
It's so cool, man. I love it. Takes like 8 hours to become a full adult T-Rex, and everybody's out to get you because you have the strongest bite force.
Hmm.
And then Utah Raptors are the easiest because they're so fast.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
if you're a Dilophosaurus, like it's great because you can see everything at night. They have the best eyesight at night, so they're terrifying.
Yeah,
Um,
the Dilophosaurus is definitely one of my favorites.
yeah.
Not an arc. I mean, but that's fine. The arc one's very Jurassic Parky,
Oh yeah,
like tiny is why I say that. It's a tiny little thing.
right.
But yeah, okay, sounds good. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna officially sign off. Thank you so much, Rex, and
All right.
my channel will definitely see you again.
Absolutely. I can't wait, man.